Hurricane Melissa has made landfall as a catastrophic Category 5 hurricane over Jamaica. Good afternoon, I'm Mike Nasel with this Tuesday afternoon update on this historic hurricane. It is the strongest hurricane ever to impact the island of Jamaica in recorded history. It is tied with the third strongest hurricane we've ever seen in the Atlantic Basin in recorded history. And it is one of the strongest hurricanes that has ever hit land anywhere in recorded history. That is Hurricane Melissa. There is the visible satellite. Just as the eye made landfall, 892 millibar pressure. That is tied with the pressure of the Great Labor Day hurricane of 1935 in the Florida Keys, which also had 185 mile per hour winds. Absolute devastation within that eye wall as the eye moves across western Jamaica. Now, here's the latest as of 2 p.m. Eastern Time from the National Hurricane Center on Melissa. It was at 18.2 north, 78.0 west. Pressure still 899 millibars, so still a historically intense barometric pressure. 165 mile per hour winds. It will be weakening now that it's moving across land. Moving north-northeast at 8, it is accelerating, and it should be moving into eastern Cuba later tonight and early on Wednesday. We have hurricane warnings for eastern Cuba as well as the central and southeastern Bahamas. The wind field, hurricane force winds extend outward only 30 miles, but around that eye is where you have disastrous winds. 160, 180, 200 mile per hour gusts. Just a nightmare under that historic hurricane's eye, and tropical storm force winds now beginning to impinge and impact areas of eastern Cuba. Looking at the National Hurricane Center advisory, they did note that catastrophic hurricane force winds are spreading over Jamaica within the eye wall of Melissa. Total structural failure is likely near the path, especially in higher elevations where wind speeds atop and on the windward sides of hills and the mountaintops could be up to 30% stronger. Do not venture out in the eye because the winds will rapidly increase in the backside of the eye wall and come around from the other direction. Now, we're already starting to see images on social media of the damage. Obviously, these are just the tip of the iceberg here. We're going to see a lot more damage coming out from areas of Jamaica as the hurricane hit with Category 5 intensity. Very, very bad pictures coming out right now from Jamaica. There's the radar image, and right at the end there, look at that solid eye wall. What does that remind you of? Hurricane Andrew, 1992, Hurricane Michael, 2018. These Category 5 hurricanes, these historic storms where that red eye wall is filled with Category 5 winds and just enormous destructive potential. There's another look from the Cuban radar. It never weakened. I kept waiting to see, well, maybe it'll peak out, It just slowly intensified more and more and more all the way until it made that turn like we knew it was going to do. It bent all the way west. People thought, oh, is it going to miss Jamaica? No, it hit, and boy, did it pack a wallop coming on shore. A few historical tidbits. Melissa is the strongest hurricane in recorded history to strike Jamaica, far and away. Far and away. The previous record was Hurricane Gilbert of 1988. That was 130 miles per hour. This was 185. It's the first Category 5 on record in Jamaica, and it will be the worst hurricane anybody there has ever seen. Number 2, it's tied with the Labor Day hurricane of 35 in the Florida Keys as the strongest landfall in the Atlantic Basin on record, 892 millibars. By comparison, Hurricane Andrew was 922 millibars. Hurricane Katrina had a pressure at landfall of 920. So when you're below 900, sub 900 millibar pressure, really ridiculous intensity. And is tied with the 1935 Labor Day storm for the third strongest hurricane in recorded history. We had Wilma at 882 millibars, Gilbert at 888 millibars, and Melissa and the 1935 storm at 892 millibars. So this is a colossally historic hurricane. Look at this infrared satellite imagery. It was perfect. Perfect symmetry, perfect circular shape, all the way into landfall. Note how the eye is filling in, though. It's weakening quickly, and so the winds will rapidly decrease to Category 4, maybe even Category 3, but it is still going to pack a punch as it beelines itself there for Cuba. Rainfall is still a threat. You saw those flooding images coming out of Jamaica. They're talking 8 12, 16, maybe up to 30 inches of rain for areas of the island, and 20 inches or more locally in eastern Cuba as Hurricane Melissa moves on up. What a beast, what a monster, what a historic hurricane. Definitely the storm of the year, one of the storms of the decade. This will be remembered as one of the storms of the century when it comes to hurricanes. Very, very historic. And not only is it intensity wise historic, but the landfall, making landfall on a landmass at that strength is very rare and very, very devastating. So I'm Mike Naso with the latest on Hurricane Melissa, a disastrous Category 5 landfall, the Great Jamaican Hurricane of 2025, as they would have called it before names, something that the island of Jamaica will not soon forget. I'm Mike Naso with the latest on Melissa, and I'll talk to you next time.